in their questions, and our presenters will respond to the questions after their presentations. So without wasting our time, we'll go straight to the first presenter of today. The first presenter of today is Dr. Eugene Itua. I'm going to read his bio, and I'll hand over the platform to him to make his presentation. Dr. Eugene Itua is an accomplished sustainability expert with extensive experience spanning over 25 years. Dr. Itua has PhD in environmental management and has been demonstrating expertise and commitment to sustainable development. He's the CEO of Natural Eco Capital, and his work has had a significant impact across various sectors of the economy, often in support of or collaboration with developmental partners such as African Development Bank, World Bank, IFC, UN, and other international organizations. Dr. Itua's contribution demonstrates his unwavering commitment to sustainable development and climate resilience. His multifaceted role as a speaker, coordinator, advisor, consultant have significantly contributed to Nigeria's environmental resilience and global efforts. Dr. Eugene is a board member and fellow of professional societies, including advisory board member for South African UNDP Green Business and Financing Initiative, member advisory board of UNDP's African Green Business and Financing Initiative under UNDP African Sustainable Finance Hub, South Africa. Board member, Governing Council of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, board member, Nigerian Network of NGOs, facilitator, Sustainability Policy Commission, Nigeria Economic Summit Group, board member, Center for Climate Change and SDG, Benedict University, Nigeria, fellow and Nigerian chair, International Institute of Risk and Safety Management, and fellow of Nigerian Environmental Society and Nigerian Institute of Sustainability. Dr. Eugene, we appreciate your coming to our platform today, and please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Dotun, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Pull out this image so that I can share my slides.
You can go on and share your slide.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I will just quickly speak to this, and I am told I need to keep to time, and I'm going to keep to time. And so, just to say that I think on virtually every leap, the question is the multi challenges that we face. How can we address this? And today, based on what this program is all about, how do we use the power of biology to address the challenges we face? Why would this question come up? Because Africa is rich in so many ways, natural resources, biodiversity. If you take the economic outlook of 2023 by African Development Bank, a range of statistics are presented on natural capital. And indeed, how we can even use that to fight the challenges of climate change, you will see there. For the East, there are also, while you have the African outlook, you also have the regional outlook. for 2023 by AFDB. And how you can indeed make money from natural capital, leveraging natural capital to support the challenges of, or deal with the challenges of climate change. Especially chapter 3 of that document speaks to that. I supported in the development of that. And so why I'm saying this is because those documents are replete with so many statistics that we can put our fingers on as to the rich nature of our resources. And quickly, just to say that we are told that 20% of the world landmass, Africa has it, hosting a vast array of ecosystems. 30% of the world's mineral resources is also here on the continent. Africa is, we can actually describe Africa as the world's biodiversity hotspot. Let's put it that way. And then the vast and varied ecosystem that we have, we all are so happy with what we have. Endemic species, many plant and animal species are found exclusively on our continent. So in other words, they are unique to us. We are so blessed. What about the human potential? Often it is said that our population is very young. Let's put it that way. A significant portion of the population is between the ages of 15 to 24, demonstrating a significant workforce that can be taken into consideration to assist in dealing with the challenges that we have. What about the growing workforce itself, the rich cultural heritage, the entrepreneurial spirit that all of us have? So many things are also coming out from the African continent in terms of technology. So in other words, we have what it takes to deal with the challenges. But there is this paradox that is, in spite of, in the midst of plenty, we are suffering. Africa is plagued by food insecurity and health crisis. And how can we leverage the resources to deal with this is what we're talking about. For instance, in terms of food security and healthcare, we're told that we have high level of poverty and malnutrition, limited access to quality healthcare, climate change and environmental degradation, and indeed lack of investment of infrastructure and investment. You know, the risk perception. I don't want to go into all of that, but just to say that specifically in terms of statistics, we're told in terms of hunger and malnutrition that approximately 282 million people in Africa are undernourished. Countries like Nigeria and Ethiopia face severe food insecurity. And it's in the air in Nigeria that starting from August 1 tomorrow, the nation or some people will go protesting. One of the key things or rationale why they want to go into that, or reasons why they want to go into that, is because of the challenges we're having regarding food. What about healthcare? Africa bears 24% of the global disease burden, but has only 3% of the world's healthcare workers. Economic constraint, high poverty rates, and unemployment. Again, it's also one of the reasons that they are bringing forth by some of them that want to do some protests. You remember not too long ago, we had this huge protest that took place in Kenya. All of this do no one, no good. But how do we leverage our biology or our biodiversity? Addressing issues like food security, health, and environmental sustainability can indeed have a transformative impact on the continent, only if we can leverage our biodiversity and the human potential we just talked about. Specifically, just to say that the bioeconomy, as we want to put it now, is a catalyst for our transformation. The simple idea is how we can harness the power of biology to deal with the challenges we just highlighted. To make significant impacts, we can indeed apply it to this sector, agriculture. We can look at the issues of biotechnology, sustainable practices. If we adopt bioeconomy, then we'll be able to enhance crop yield, improve pest resistance, and then develop drought-tolerant varieties. When we do, we will have increased food security and better livelihood for smallholder farmers. What about job creation and economic growth? The same thing. The potentials are huge, but only if we're able to create new industries and job opportunities, especially the rural areas, and stop the drift from the rural areas to the urban area. We can indeed do this by converting agricultural waste into valuable products, such as biofuel, bioplastics, and pharmaceuticals. When we do, we will generate wealth and connect farmers to new value chains. In terms of environmental sustainability, which is one of the challenges we seem to be grappling with today, if we utilize biological processes, then we'll be able to reduce reliance on fossil fuel and decrease greenhouse gas emission. So in other words, through this, we can contribute to climate change mitigation, promote sustainable resource use, and indeed boost nature-based solutions. Health and nutrition, through innovation, we can develop all that we need to boost our nutrition. When we do, the outcome will be, we'll be able to have beautiful health outcomes and address malnutrition like we talked about earlier, as well as diseases. Industrial development, yes. If we are able to bring about this, then we will reduce dependency on traditional sectors, and then we will foster resilience. The opportunities are huge. For instance, in terms of developing sustainable agricultural practices we just talked about, or producing biofuel and renewable energy resources, or manufacturing bio-based products, and indeed improving human health through biotechnology. This shows the great potential that we have. In terms of sustainable agriculture practices, we can increase crop yield by up to 30% while reducing the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Example is precision farming and genetically modified crops that are more resistant to pests and diseases. Of course, I know some people have grievances or have apprehension, so to say, not grievances, towards genetically modified food or crops. And then producing biofuel and renewable energy. The biofuel industry support over days in the United States alone. Can we turn this around based on our rich resources? Ethanol and biodiesel production. We can do that from agricultural waste. What about manufacturing bio-based products? The EU bioeconomy employed 70.5 million people as at 2017. We can also build on what we have through biodegradable waste or plastics, bio-based chemicals, and materials derived from renewable biological resources. What about improving our healthcare system through biotechnology? Again, this is also possible. Bio-based vaccines, personalized medicines, and advanced diagnostic tools are also possible through this. This gives a case study of what we have in some countries. East Africa, then you have in East Africa the bioeconomy strategy, The impact we have to understand is it increases crop yield and resilience to climate change. Healthcare, development of bio-based medicine, and improve access to healthcare services. The lessons from this successful collaboration, partnership, research, and bringing in the private sector. Even the policy angle is important. It supports policy innovation, so to say. And then you now have the Bioinnovate Africa, which supports scientists and innovators. Again, in East Africa, a whole lot is happening there. Introduction of drought-resistant crops and sustainable farming practices are some of the impacts. In terms of health, development of affordable diagnostic tools and treatment for diseases. Lessons learned, training and empowering local scientists and entrepreneurs will help in all of this. And then focusing on eco-friendly and economically viable solution. In South Africa, there's also an initiative that is happening there, which is South Africa Bioeconomy Strategy that focuses on leveraging biotechnology to address national challenges in the health, agricultural, and industry sectors. The impacts: enhance agricultural productivity and food processing technology. There are also the development of vaccines and bio-based pharmaceuticals. In terms of lessons learned, it requires that all of us are able to develop a robust innovation system that includes research institutions, funding mechanisms, and regulatory framework. So in all, a whole lot coming as part of the lessons learned for that. What about Nigeria? In terms of cassava, we have cassava here. We can simply, in terms of the resources, we can simply describe it as massive. And so, Bioeconomy project in Nigeria aims to improve cassava production and processing to enhance food security and create economic opportunities. Increase cassava yield and reduce post-harvest losses, which is one of the challenges in Nigeria, is one of the impacts. Development of cassava-based nutritional supplements to combat malnutrition is also there as one of the impacts. In terms of the lessons learned, involving local community, technology transfer, all of this matter in terms of this. Generally, lessons learned from all of these case studies, they demonstrate the transformative potential of bioeconomy for us on the continent. They highlight the importance of collaboration, the importance of innovation, the importance of sustainability in addressing the challenges we are faced with regard to food security and healthcare. But then, especially the economic, what is the bioeconomy in terms of the model? It's an economic system that focuses on using renewable biological resources to produce goods, services, and energy. It is a shift toward a more sustainable and resource-efficient economy, where the main thing is the use of biological resources. Yes, we can leverage plants, animals, microorganisms, and their byproducts to create products, ranging from food and biofuel to pharmaceutical and industrial materials. The key components: renewable resources, biotechnology, sustainability, and then economic growth. In terms of renewable resources, this includes crops, forests, fish, and microorganisms. Biotechnology, advances in biotechnology are crucial for us to make any meaningful advancements when it comes to this. In terms of sustainability, a bioeconomy aims to be environmentally friendly, reducing dependency on fossil fuel and minimizing waste. And why in relation to economic growth? Economic development by creating new industries and jobs will certainly lead to growth. Examples of bioeconomic products in terms of food and agriculture: you have biofertilizer, biopesticides, functional foods, just name it. Energy, biofuel, we've talked about it, biogas, bioelectricity. Materials, again, bioplastics, bio-based textiles, even paper. And then chemicals, you have bio-based chemicals, biopharmaceuticals. What are the strategies that we must give attention to? We want to invest. Invest in agricultural research and development. We want to promote sustainable land use and management. We want to develop bio-based industries. We want to strengthen the healthcare system through investment, producing affordable and accessible medicine, and of course, developing diagnostic tools and vaccines. What about building human capital to get all of this done? It's essential that we invest in education. We do training in biotechnology and related fields. Can we also create partnership between academia, industry, and government? It's very possible for us to forge ahead. Can we foster innovation and entrepreneurship? I think this is also possible. We will also say that the government needs to create the enabling environment for all of this to thrive. For this to thrive? We do know that in some countries, the policies are rather frustrating. They are not helpful. In themselves, they are destructive. And so the private sector entities find it difficult to actually work. What can the strategies lead to? More resilient food system, enhanced food security, improved healthcare. What about promoting economic growth and job creation? Yes, we will get that. Promoting environmental sustainability is one thing we can also achieve if we look at this. We want to also use this to improve local knowledge and then innovation. What about the well-being overall? We talked about malnutrition earlier. Can we deal with that? If we follow this trajectory, it's very, very possible. Can we also support the SDG through this? If you check literature, you check the news, you check whatever it is. You recall last year, the UN raised the alarm that we are far removed from achieving the SDG goals. Are we even closer to achieving them now? Well, I'm not too sure. Can we, on the African continent, passing through this valley, support in achieving SDGs? I think so, because it speaks to virtually every goal that you can think about. What will it require? You and I, and indeed every other stakeholder out there collaborating to harness the potential of the power of nature, the power of biology for us to be able to thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the bioeconomy offers a promising pathway to address Africa's food security and healthcare challenges. But of course, it requires implementing some or all, or even in addition to that, strategies that we have highlighted here, and foster collaboration. When we do, certainly we will get this to improve our lives and achieve sustainable development. As part of the call to action, let us emphasize the potential of our resources to transforming our development trajectory. Can we collaborate? Can we invest? Can we ensure policy reform that supports this very issue that we're talking about, rather than get it frustrate us? Let's work together to see that that happens. We should not allow all of this, the policy in place, to frustrate businesses, entrepreneurs that are taking the risk. Let us see ourselves in a manner that demonstrates that we have that vision of a healthy, food secure, and prosperous Africa through the economy, or the bioeconomy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Otua, for that very, very educative presentation. A lot of information have gone into that presentation, and I'm sure our participants will be eager to get the PowerPoint so that they can digest it and have a deeper understanding of that presentation. We gave a very, very detailed overview of bioeconomy and how we can maximize bioeconomy to solve emerging problems in Africa. Problems from health to agri to climate change, and even human employment. on the continent. You talked clearly on how we can use natural capital to solve emerging challenges. And Africa has a very huge, very huge biodiversity potential. And we need to leverage on this potential to address emerging problems in Africa, problems in the area of healthcare, the area of climate change, the area of industry and other areas on the continent. Then we talked about areas that we can use the bioeconomy, or we can maximize our enormous natural resources to solve problems in the area of job creation, health and nutrition, and industrial developments. Opportunities in bioeconomy, including sustainable agri practices, producing biofuel, manufacturing bio-based products, improving human health through biotechnology, and other areas that we need to maximize, that we can maximize using biotechnology. We'll give some case studies in South Africa, in Kenya, in Nigeria, where bioeconomy has been used to contribute to economic development in those countries. And we talked about the components of bioeconomy, which includes renewable resources, biotechnology, sustainability, and economic growth. Talked about the examples of bioeconomic, the key strategies, and what the strategies can do to contribute to development on the continent. Improve health sector, support SDG. And finally, you said collaboration is very important. Nobody is an island. It is very important for us to understand that we can't work in silos and that we need every sector and every level of expertise to work together at the national, regional, and at the African level for us to be able to maximize the opportunities that bioeconomy offers and for us to be able to effectively use our natural resources to solve our problems in Africa. Like I always say, no country, no other planet will come to Africa to solve Africa's problem. And Africa has to start, we have to start looking inward, using indigenous solutions to address indigenous problems. So thank you very much, Dr. Itwa, for the very educative presentation. And I'm sure that our participants will have a few questions for you. For our participants that have questions, you can go straight to the question and answer section of the Zoom platform and put your questions there. The speakers will attend to your questions after their presentations. And also our participants would like to know where you're joining us from, the country, and if possible, the organization. So go to the chat section of the Zoom link and let us know you better, your country and the organization you represent. Thank you very much for joining us. Without wasting our time, we'll go straight to our next speaker. Our next speaker today is Dr. Lucio Diaz Charles. Dr. Lucio is a senior research fellow, Center for Environmental Policy, Imperial College, London. She has a BSc in Biology, Ecology in Mexico, and holds a PhD on Sustainable Development Indicators from University of Wales in the UK. She has been a senior research fellow at the Center for Environmental Policy of Imperial College London since 2004. She acted as a deputy director and energy and climate change program leader at the Stockholm Environment Institute African Center from 2017 to 2022. Among other projects, she coordinated the project Bioenergy Strategy for East Africa, BCL. Her research interests are on sustainability assessment and development of bioeconomy and bioenergy, and natural resources. She has focused her research on methodologies for socioeconomic assessments and governance of different projects. Dr. Diaz Chavez has extensive experience managing and coordinating research and implementation projects. She has worked in different regions, including Europe, Africa, Asia, and Latin America. She developed indicators for the Global Bioenergy Partnership from FAO. She acted as chair of the social group of the Bioenergy Standard for the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. Dr. Diaz-Chavez, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your kind introduction. I apologize. I think that my battery was almost finishing, so I needed to connect the cable. So let me just start with this presentation. And if you could please confirm that you can see the full screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. And
thank you.
Hear you clearly.
Thank you very much. So this presentation is based from work that, as you mentioned, I have been doing for many years on bioenergy and bioeconomy. And also based on what it has been my experience also working in Africa. So I'm trying to approach of these significance and challenges of bioeconomy in Africa and some of the policy efforts. So several of the issues I'm presenting are actually complementary with the previous presentation. I just want to give a very, very short introduction to what it is Imperial College in case some of the participants have not heard of the university. It's a very large university. It's one of the main universities in the UK. It's based in London, over 17,000 students, more than 125 countries. We have postgraduates from there. Last year, it was ranked among the first 5 universities in Europe and in the world. So it is quite an achievement for this university. You have my introduction. I just wanted to mention that I'm also, I also work particularly with integrated sustainability assessment. So several aspects that have been mentioned also in the previous presentation has been there. But I give also a very strong emphasis to the social side, because the social side is really important within the bioenergy and the bioeconomy. And for that, I have been working also with vulnerable groups around different regions in the world, many international projects within global and also in the UK. You can see a range of projects also in Africa. This has given me the opportunity to work globally. So with that, I have been able to compare what is happening in Europe, what is happening in Latin America, Africa, and even Asia, particularly with this development of bioeconomy. I would like to start just mentioning some of the aspects that are important for the African context, that are related to degradation of the environment and that they produces also some or are linked with diseases. So, for example, deforestation has increased over the past 2 decades, and this has been linked to some outbreaks of diseases such as Ebola, Zika, and Nipah. Climate change also is one of the important aspects that has accelerated some of the transmission patterns of infection diseases such as Zika, malaria, and dengue fever. And this has, climate change has also been the cause for human displacement. Climate change has also been a target to expose inequality. And another important thing, it has produced changes also in supply changes and food security. So these are important aspects to consider. If we go back to the recent pandemic of COVID in 2020, we can see that this was the results that were more or less circulating around the world about Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, and South America. What was the actual number of deaths per million? But if you can see here what it was the meaning of Africa and Asia, we don't know up until now if this was related, for example, to the lack of data for deaths not being recorded under COVID, or if there is indeed other factors that we don't know yet. This has not even yet published about this difference, but you can see the large difference between Africa and South America, because Brazil was one of the main countries with a large number of deaths. Another important aspect just to review, it's on the GDP change. So how it was down globally by 2020 and how it was projected to be by 2022. Majority of the countries have already started to recover after 2022 in the different regions in the world. And finally, this also global GDP growth after COVID-19 and the forecast up until 2024. So again, you can see that partially some recovery, economic recovery has been produced around the world. And also, if we talk about climate change, one of the first things that we have to recognize is the difference between those countries that are the main carbon dioxide emitters, and you can see the big difference here, and what it means for Africa. So for Africa, it's really, in general, Africa as a continent represents less than 10% of the emissions at global level. And this is an important aspect because majority of the emissions that come from Africa, except certain countries like South Africa and the North, majority of them come from agricultural practices and deforestation. So that is also something important to have. And they do not come necessarily from emissions from industrial processes. Now, bioeconomy has many definitions around the world. This is something that we have been looking and we have different experiences on that. And you can see here that natural economy was our first economy. The city is based mostly on natural products, raw products. Then we had this evolution onto the fossil economy, that it is, of course, based on oil, fossil oil. And the intention is really to move now into another economy. And this is the bioeconomy. And the bioeconomy is coming from processes, products that are from biological origin. And some of them are, for example, intended for food security, health and well-being, bio-based industrial development, or even sustainable energy. Another important aspect to analyze from bioeconomy is where the sources are coming from. So majority of the sources of these bio-based products need to come from biomass. And this is the cascading of biomass value pyramid. So you can see that the lowest value is with energy and heat. So that's the easiest way that you can use biomass just to burn it. And the highest value we have is pharma, food and feed, because they would need some processes. No, it's not just the agricultural side, but it would have some processes. And we have also bioplastic and biopolymers and the bulk chemicals and fuels. But this pharma is where the high value molecules are. The majority of developing countries focuses on these two areas, energy and heat, food and feed, raw. In the case of the European Union, the bioeconomy activities have managed to foster the wider economy. And you can see here how they are interrelated. So it's not just land. We also have the potential of seas, oceans, lakes, rivers, and also Africa is very rich on this, of course, in certain regions. How to ensure food security and moving from fossil-based economy to a bioeconomy. So in many countries in the global south, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, bioenergy focuses mostly on access to energy for cooking, while bioeconomy focus is on improved value chains. So there could be even more that can come from that. And in some other regions, there is a mix of both, for example, in South America. Regarding bioeconomy strategies and policies in the global south, because there are several in the global north, there is, of course, the European bioeconomy strategy, and some countries in Europe already have their own bioeconomy strategies, but not all of them. United States, for example, does not have exactly a bioeconomy strategy, but they have biotechnology based plans. And you can see here that there is the East African Bioeconomy Strategy that was approved around 2022. And there is the bioeconomy strategy in South Africa that has been since 2013, and it's under review at the moment. And there is also the newest one is the Namibia bioeconomy strategy that has been recently launched. And in South America and Central America, you can see we have Argentina, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Colombia, and more recently, Brazil has already announced their own bioeconomy strategy. Asia and Pacific region, Australia, Japan, Thailand, Malaysia also have some of the key bio strategies. And in the case of Thailand, it's also linked to bio-circular green economy. In the case of Europe, there is also the green economy plan and also the circular economy plan. So they tend to be integrated. Now, for the African context for bioeconomy, despite that some of this data is old, several of these things are still persistent, and I will show them later in another slide. So most of the in the world, most of the world agricultural exports, they have grown significantly, and they are really one of the main sources of economy for many countries. In the case of Sub-Saharan Africa, the unprocessed agricultural products, they tend to be the main income, and you can see it has really improved, but at the same time, the not added value is restricting its growth. And in the case of East Africa, well, over 30% of the region can be directly attributed to agriculture and other bioeconomy related sectors. So you may know these, which are the top 10 countries by GDP in Africa. And you can see here that, of course, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and several countries in East Africa, considering just Sub-Saharan Africa, have some of the key GDPs. But in the case of East Africa, you can see that agriculture, including fishery and forestry, also have a significant percentage of the GDP for them. Now, if we compare at the global level, what is the difference? You can see here the value added of agricultural, forestry, and fishing by region. You can see this is Asia, Americas, and this is Africa. So it's 11%. It's big difference with Asia. While in the case of the share of agricultural, forestry, and fishing with value added by region, in the case of Africa, it's really high. And this is 2015 prices, but the report is from FAO from 2022. Another aspect that is really important for bioeconomy is the share of land and the type by region. You can see the difference here just within Africa and the Americas. The forest land, and of course, Americas, it's dominated by the Amazon, but this is the forest land for Africa, agricultural land, and other type of land. This is really important because this is where, without considering blue bioeconomy, this is one of the main sources for products for bioeconomy. And which are the drivers? What is needed to be considered? For the case of Sub-Saharan Africa, one of the things that have come out in many workshops and surveys that we apply is the value addition. So it is not just it's not just the raw material. What else can be added for this final product that we can consider this value addition, and the use of bio-waste? Because there is a lot of bio-waste, so there is not really even need to promote deforestation with the use of forests or other type of resources that are not necessary to be used, but just from bio-waste can be. The same as in the previous presentation, there is also a strong link with the Sustainable Development Goals. But we also need to start to look at what is going to happen after 2030. Which one of them? And as the previous speaker mentioned, there have been several reports from UN indicating that most of the SDGs will not be achieved by 2030. Now, as it was mentioned before, I had the opportunity to collaborate with ISTECO, and I co-coordinated this project for East Africa, the regional bioeconomy strategy, where we had 4 topics. One was on food security and sustainable agriculture, health and well-being, bio-based industrial development, and sustainable energy. So these topics were selected not by us, but by all the participants within the region. And I will explain the process. But as I mentioned before, there are many different approaches and definitions of bioeconomy. The one that was taken for East Africa was the sustainable production and exploitation of biological resources and knowledge to support a diversified industrial sector, and also to protect ecosystem services and mitigation of climate change. So both key objectives were linked together. And how this was worked? Well, there was several national working groups and a regional drafting group. There were national consultations. Then once we had a 0 draft, there were regional consultations, and then the final draft that was the one that was approved. So with this one, we also had the vision of this strategy, a vibrant, inclusive, and innovative bioeconomy contributing to sustainable economic growth and job creation in East Africa, with a mission to catalyze and support innovative and sustainable use of bioresources as the major driver. And for this, the core objectives, as mentioned before, food and nutrition, health, environment, and improved livelihoods and job creation. And they were also linked to several aspects of inter alia collaboration, bio-based markets, very important, and trade, monitoring knowledge, bio-based national agendas, and the considerations of infrastructure needs. So the enablers were policy environment already existing, capacity development, effective leadership and communication, catalyzing relevant and productive partnerships and collaborations, and enhancing the bioeconomy innovation system. And again, just a reminder, these were the 4 areas that were selected for this strategy. Now, if we want to move particularly to biotechnology in any of these areas, we have to consider which are these categories within the biotechnology industries. And you can see that there is a large, wide possibility of looking at them. But the largest one is biopharma. This is global. Industrial biotech, agricultural, food, environment, and something that very few refer to, but this is bioinformatics. And it is particularly for the health area, it's an important area. Market size. How many business and employments in 2019 were in the biotechnology worldwide? Well, you can see $295 billion for the market size. More than 11,000 business number, this is probably millions, and employment number also quite large. And how this biotechnology is based around the world. Most of it is within the United States, where they, as I mentioned before, it's not really a bioeconomy strategy, but a biotechnology plan. The rest is Europe, Asia, Middle East, and then other countries. So Africa and Latin America are within this. And if you compare the different fields, bioindustry in 2005, bioagriculture and biopharmacy were more or less similar. And you can see here the evolution, how much they have grown in all these years. So the pharmaceutical market, for example, in East Africa, it is considered to be around $4 billion. And it is mostly on medicines, antibiotics, antimalarials, anthelmintics, analgesics, antiretroviral medicines. But most of it currently, it's around 70 to 90% of imports of these medicines, and they are mostly coming from Asia. So this has many risks because they have to be in agreement with the exporting countries' priority policies. And we saw the impact of it during the COVID pandemic. Also, East Africa has a regional pharmaceutical manufacturing plan that aims to decrease this dependency on pharmaceutical imports to less than 50%. And somehow, this expansion of product can help some of East African firms to cater for more than 90% of the disease conditions. Now, this is not even including what it would be indigenous knowledge and other more traditional forms that could be related to what we call this kind of cake from the SDGs and the circular bioeconomy. So there may be also links for the health industry on these different aspects. As mentioned before, we also need to consider within the bioeconomy the social actors and the acceptance of the bioeconomy. And this cannot happen if the social actors do not understand what bioeconomy is. So there needs to be more on how we disseminate this knowledge about the economy into the wider society and what different social actors understand of these different aspects of bioeconomy. So mainstreaming the bioeconomy depends on social acceptance and take-up of bioproducts. But as Wegner and Kelly mentioned, the best technology does no good unless people use it. So we need to examine the factors and the conditions of social acceptance of bioeconomy with value chains, how different social groups understand the bioeconomy, and pay attention also to gender aspects. So which are these challenges and recommendations for the bioeconomy? We need to consider context, regionalization, and localization. It's not going to be the same in all areas. Sub-Saharan Africa, it's a continent. So we cannot go just treating all countries in the same way. Regions have also differences. There should be some monitoring, but this will have to be with some specific frameworks because it will not fit also globally. There is still a need for qualitative and quantitative data, more details on feedstocks, process, and sustainability assessment. Also, from the social point of view, we don't have a guarantee that bioeconomy is going to benefit all groups in society in the same way. We need to consider indigenous knowledge. We need to consider vulnerable groups, because some of the benefits that it can have could be also some negative aspects that may be reinforced or deepen, for example, existing gender and social inequalities. On gender issues, there is still a long way to go, even in Europe, even in the global north. There are differences on how women and men that may be equally interested in sustainable production, but they have different access to resources, education, knowledge, labor, and financial resources. There are technocratic approaches to the bioeconomy, but most of the time, they do not consider the social impacts, cultural and gender aspects. There is still a large need for the logistics, even for simple supply chains. There is still to become more efficient, more sustainable, more with a circular economy thought. There is still need to improve these logistics. And foremost, the just transitions. We need to consider them and how we are going to be financing the bioeconomy. This is a big issue. The World Bioeconomy Forum, where I am an advisory board member, is going to launch, along with another organization called the Nature Finance, now in Rio de Janeiro next week at the G20 meeting, a document, a report where we work about how to go with this financing the bioeconomy, because there is still a big gap on how to do it, not just in the global south, even in the global north. And finally, just to say, in terms of policies, we really need a more strategic view. We are still working in silos. Most of the policy agendas work separately: environment on one side, social on another, economic and governance. So we need to really try to bring them together. Again, this is a global issue. It's not just specific for Africa. And if we manage to integrate the different policy agendas that we have, maybe we can really try to achieve some kind of sustainable development with environment, economic, social, and policy and governance aspects to be considered. So with this, I want to finish, and thank you very much again for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chavez, for that very, very educative and fantastic presentation. Your presentation showed clearly that you've worked in different parts of the world, and you have a very, very, very deep knowledge of Africa and about economy on the continent. And that shows clearly in your presentation starting with Africa and the African context, giving us talking about deforestation and increasing deforestation in Africa, and the link and impact on that on increase in emerging infectious diseases, especially zoonotic diseases, diseases that are transmitted from wild animals or animals to humans. We've seen increase in frequency and intensity of zoonotic diseases in Africa in recent years, from COVID to dengue fever to Lassa fever and other forms of zoonotic diseases. And we can directly link this to climate change and increased deforestation on the continents. You talked about Ebola or COVID-19 briefly, and you gave some statistics on COVID, especially statistics that show that deaths per million as a result of COVID in Africa is relatively low, because compared to other parts of the world, this is still research that a lot of people are working on. Or maybe it's because Africans have been used to infectious diseases over the years and have been able to build a level of immunity against such kind of diseases. And you went on and talked about bioeconomy, the next wave of economic activities, stating clearly that the world started from natural economy, and from there we started entering the industrial age, and the industrial age was fueled by fossil fuel, which is one of the biggest challenge to climate change in the world. And as the world is talking about leaving the dirty fossil fuel and going to or looking for something that is not sustainable and more manageable, bioeconomy is a way, is a direction the world should follow, and is a direction we're recommending. And how do we energize bioeconomy? What is a foundation or the energy that will fuel bioeconomy? You talked about biomass as a resources bioeconomy, maximizing biomass on the continent of Africa, which we have a lot of them, to fuel bioeconomy on the continent. Talk about bioeconomy strategies and politics at the global level. And talk about countries in Africa that have developed their policies, East Africa, South Africa, and Namibia. And you talked about the East African policy and the organizations you worked with. Talked about African Technology Policy Study Network. I'm happy to say I was a staff of that organization about 10 years ago. And I know it's one of the biggest policy-based organizations in Africa. And talk about African content of biosecurity, the need for us to have value, to add value to agroforestry and fishing on the continent. Value addition is very important for us to maximize existing natural resources on the continent. And talk about categories of global biofuel. You talk about bioinformation, which is very important. Talk about industrial biotechnology, environment, and fuel biotechnology. And you said that Africa has been left out in the biotechnology science, and it's very important for us to start developing the science of biotechnology to maximize the resources that we have on the continent. You talked about pharmaceutical companies in East Africa where you've worked. You said about $4 billion is spent importing drugs in East Africa, and this can drastically be reduced if we maximize the opportunities that bioeconomy offers. And talk about the challenges and recommendations of bioeconomy. And finally, you talked about the just transition. How do we finance bioeconomy, and the importance of strategies, a strategic view to address or to synergize to maximize the opportunities that bioeconomy offers, especially in Africa. And finally, like the first speaker said, we cannot continue to work in silos. It's very important for us to collaborate and to integrate various sources of knowledge for us to effectively maximize the opportunities that bioeconomy offers on the continent. Thank you very much for your presentation again. We'll go straight to the next speaker, who is Professor Kante Masharabo. Professor Kante Masharabo is a professor from the University of Burundi and permanent executive secretary, National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation in Burundi. Professor Masharabo is a team leader of Bioeconomy Africa supported projects on central products for malaria prevention. Is a lecturer at the University of Burundi Faculty of Sciences, Biology Department, and currently the permanent executive secretary, National Commission for Science, Technology, and Innovation, Burundi. He has in the past held various positions, including Director General for Science, Technology, and Research within the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Burundi, and a member of the Inter-University Council for East Africa Audit Committee. He has experience from countries across Africa, Europe, and Asia in the framework of projects, international workshop, and other areas. Professor Masharabo, thank you for accepting to share your very vast knowledge with us today. Hand over the floor to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the introduction. Allow me to share my presentation. Yeah, hello, everyone, wherever you are. My presentation will focus on research and innovation in the bioeconomy sector in terms of bridging the gap between science and application. Yes, Dr. Ayodun introduced me, but I wish also to highlight here that I hold also the position of I am a member of the governing board of the East African community, the East African Science, Technology, and Science and Technology Commission. As the outline, I go through the introduction of my presentation, some conceptual frameworks, the rationale of bioeconomy as a driver for socioeconomic transformation, the strategic direction of the East African bioeconomy strategy. That also was highlighted by the previous speaker. I also take you through the East African Bioeconomy Observatory, and also I share some bioeconomy related research and or innovation initiatives and events in Burundi and beyond before concluding. Yeah, another thing is that also is to highlight that recently last year, I developed other skills because I got a certificate from Lund University in Sweden in innovation, transformation, and resilience for sustainable development. Yeah, currently digitalization, let's say digital economy, is a driver for development, and also bioeconomy is a very important in order to transform our communities. As you know, this is from the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Bioeconomy is growing at a rate of 3.3 per annum and represent a business opportunity of about 7.7 trillion by 2030. We have also to deal with a number of constraints, let's say challenges, including among others, climate change, effort also to achieve net zero carbon emission, and also to face a number of outbreaks. In terms of solutions, yes, we have to look forward for innovation policies and also to see how to manage sustainably our biodiversity and ecosystem goods and services. This is to ensure sustained regeneration of biomass. Yes, just quickly for a common understanding, science and the technologies in one sentence, the application of science, to modify things or to come up with some problems. And the innovation also is cross-cutting, as it is found in the majority of cases as the implementation of new processes or improved or new products and tangible services. For bioeconomy, we have many definitions, but allow me to use the one from Bioinnovate Africa program, which is using scientific knowledge to add economic and social value to biological resources in a sustainable way. And the most important thing is here, it cross-cut all economic sectors. As my presentation deal with research and innovation, we used to conduct projects, but most of them they focus on research, others exclusively on innovation, or both. So research projects are scientifically motivated. We conduct a number of activities, but the result is publications and the degrees, mostly without any application. But for this is for basic research. And for innovation project, we have a motivation, a societal impact that we need to solve. And from here, if I refer to, for example, to the COVID period, a lot has been done in terms of innovation projects through collaboration and co-creation, and the result for innovation project is the changes in the community, the outcome, and the creation of value for the target group. Here, this also applies for bioeconomy projects, meaning that a bioeconomy research project can be an innovation project and vice versa. As rationale of bioeconomy as a driver for economic transformation, is from previous presentation, yes, we noted that Africa is rich in terms of biodiversity, and we should leverage that richness of biodiversity, which also give us an opportunity to build a competitive and a sustainable bioeconomy. This is also a way of diversifying the sources of income, the sources of economic growth through value addition to biological resources by linking products to a new market. And we have here the Eastern Africa Bioeconomy Regional Strategy, which is an important tool toward unlocking the region bioeconomy potential. In reference made also to the Swedish bioeconomy strategy, this one is based in scientific knowledge and in the promotion of collaboration between the state, universities, colleges, and the business community in order to facilitate the necessary adjustment. For the Eastern Africa Regional Bioeconomy Strategy, the previous speaker, Dr. Rocio Diaz Chavez, highlighted the main component of that strategy. The most thing is that yes, among the sustainability pillars, the priority themes, the key activities they were developed, the important thing is that the partner state of the East African community are called upon to domesticate this instrument, because it was realized that across the economic bloc in Africa, the East African community is the first to get that strategic document. Besides the development of that regional bioeconomy strategy, the region also developed implemented the Eastern Africa Bioeconomy Observatory. It is online. You can, the link is provided, and you can, it is a regional open access repository for sustainable bioeconomy data and information. We have a lot of material from research and also from policy document. The observatory contains background materials which formed the basic for the formulation of the regional bioeconomy strategy. It is also a useful source for other countries who want to develop their own bioeconomy strategies and also subsequent policies and interventions that are able to create new jobs and a sustainable based and inclusive economic growth in the region and even beyond. As examples, in Burundi or even the region, we have some achievement. During the introduction done by the chair, he noticed that I was the leader of a project which was funded by ICP Bio Innovate Africa under the support of SIDA. So it was a regional project which involved 3 countries, Burundi, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the stakeholders were from academia, the private and the public institutions. So the core achievement of that project was the construction and the equipment in Burundi of the largest biorefinery in East Africa, dedicated mostly to plant extract. And also beside that, we did the plant extract formulation and testing as an anti-mosquito. We have also a number of students who were supported, and they produced a paper bioeconomy related. We produced a number of manuscripts. I'm going to just to read all the list, but we have a number of case studies related to bioeconomy, which also can be exploited in order to apply the result and to transform them into tangible products and services. We have, for example, this paper related to the modeling of the geographical distribution of plant species reported as anti-malaria and mosquito repellent in Burundi in relation to the ecological conditions of Burundi, which is also a kind of document which can be used in order to see where to put effort in terms of malaria fighting. We have also another paper also on environmental changes and the evolution of morbidity due to malaria in Burundi, which also give an overview of where to put effort and also why we see that the malaria is widespread in the region, in the new regions, in upper country, whereas it was only found before in lowland. This is all due to the degradation of the environment, also the expansion of some agricultural activities which were not done before. We have also another paper related to anti-malaria and the mosquito repellent plant, which also give us some active principles that can be also exploited to produce medicines. We conducted also other studies related to pesticide plants. Again, it's human harmful insects in Burundi, which is also the basis for the production of other medical products. Of course, depending on the investment done in the sector. A high-level policy dialogue was held in Burundi. This also was to bring together different stakeholders from the region and even from Europe, this is the topic was to the whole of the public sector in building innovation ecosystem for a sustainable economy. This was a very sound contribution to the involvement of the public sector in the innovation ecosystem. Burundi also hosted for the first time the second East African Community Regional Science, Technology, and Innovation Conference in 2021. It was also an occasion to share a number of results, including, among others, scientific results from the health sector and others. Yeah, and also at the regional level, the second Eastern Africa Bioeconomy Conference was held in Kenya. I was among the participants, and I stated that biologically based technologies and the policies, they present an opportunity for young people in the region to shift from job seekers to job creators, since also one of the challenges that we have to deal with is also job creation. And also, as we have also to bring together the private sector, the academia, and the government, in collaboration with the ministry in charge of trade and the ministry in charge of education and scientific research, Burundi also now is organizing annually a kind of forum and exhibition that brings together academia, public, and the private sector. And at this session of last year, it was the guest of honor was the deputy president of the republic. And recently, Burundi hosted also a high-level policy dialogue on bioeconomy in Burundi and East Africa. The theme was the national bioeconomy strategies, paving the future growth path for East Africa. Just in October last year, it was also an occasion to bring together different stakeholders in the bioeconomy sector. Also, Burundi organized for the first time last year the first edition of the National Science Week, and the theme was to develop, the trust in science. Yeah. Also, another edition for academia, public, and the private partnership also was recently organized. This was also in line with the new vision of the country, of the new vision of 2014-2060, aiming at attaining a developed country or an emerging country. And another important event is the Global Bioeconomy Summit. This is, I do hope that the registration is still ongoing. It will be a big event for the continent because it will be the first time that event, the Global Bioeconomy Summit, is hosted by Africa. And it will be in Kenya in October. This is also, if maybe I'm not allowed to extend this invitation, but as the registration is open, it is a kind of invitation to join this very important event, which will be the bioeconomy solutions for global challenges. To conclude, yes, our academic and our research institutions and African countries should continue to make significant effort to improve their research and the development performance. This will allow us to reduce the gap that separates our region with the rest of the world in the production of research results and also the application in development, particularly through appropriate innovation. This is very important because also we have to think about the strategy, the strategy to finance or to fund bioeconomy. So there's a need to reinforce and prioritize a sincere dialogue between research-based solutions and political action. Hopefully, and fortunately, as the collaboration is key, bioeconomy promotion open a pathway for joint multidisciplinary research and innovation projects. This is an opportunity, I repeat, to increase investment in the bioeconomy sector in research, to foster collaboration at a different level, and also to increase the impact that as researchers we produce in the community and in all the economic sector. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. For that very, very interesting and educative presentation. It shows clearly you gave a very detailed presentation of what is going on in East Africa, area of bioeconomy, and your contributions to bioeconomy in East Africa in recent years. You started by stating that the bioeconomy is growing annually at 3.3%, and that shows a constant growth in bioeconomy globally. And business opportunities in bioeconomy is worth about 7.7 trillion, or will be worth about 7.7 trillion by the year 2030. That's $1 trillion. That is a huge amount of money that Africa and Africans should leverage on to maximize opportunities in that field. You gave definitions of science, technology, and innovation, and also definitions of bioeconomy. And you talked about the need for us not just to continue to conduct research projects, but innovative projects that can address emerging challenges on the continent. Talked about the East African bioeconomy strategy, the sustainability pillars, the priority teams, and the key activities. And I talk about the online platform, East African Bioeconomy Observatory, online knowledge center, where that is available online for those that want to know more about biosecurity or bioeconomy in East Africa, what that region has done. The information is available online, and for other countries too that wants to develop their own bioeconomy policy and strategy, they can leverage and learn from the information online, and that is very useful. And you talked about some projects on bioeconomy that is going on, especially in East Africa, and some other policies and meetings and discussions and conferences that are taking place in East Africa. It's focused on bioeconomy. You talked about the project you did with ECP on malaria, I think it's caterpillar or something, maximizing bioeconomy to address the issue of malaria on the continent. And finally, you talked about, just like other speakers, the importance to improve research and development performance on the continent, and the importance of linking research to policy decisions by politicians. Politicians understanding the importance of taking decisions based on research-based evidence, not just taking decisions on other evidence. So finally, you talked about the importance of collaboration. We cannot overestimate the importance of collaboration. Collaborations among sectors, among experts, among individuals, linking industry with research and policy for us to effectively address issues on the continent. So thank you very much, Prof, for that very, very educative presentation. And finally, without wasting our time, we spent a lot of time in the last three presentations. I'm going to introduce the last speaker, the last, but definitely by no means not the least. We have Mr. Zabosizo Mazuko. I'm going to read your bio, Mr. Mazuko, then I'll hand over the floor to you. Mr. Mazuko is an engineer with B.Eng. Honors degree in industrial and manufacturing engineering. He's a biosafety and biosecurity professional specializing in the implementation of biorisk management and biocontainment engineering best practices in high and maximum containment facilities. He has over 40 years of experience in the global health field, particularly in the enterprising use of limited resources for the sustainable operation of the biocontainment facilities in resource-constrained environments. He's a subject matter expert with demonstrable sound understanding and application of the design, construction, operation, and recertification of high and maximum containment facilities in low resource settings. It leads the Division of Biosafety and Biosecurity and is responsible for the management of high and maximum containment laboratory facilities and improvement of laboratory infrastructure and development of related policies and standards at the NICD NHLS. Is a chairperson of the NICD Institutional Biosafety and Biosecurity Community, IBBC, and a member of the World Health Organization Technical Advisory Group on Biosafety. My friend, Mr. Masuku, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bobadaya, and good day to you, colleagues. Let me share my presentation. Please confirm once you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Yes. All right. Good day, colleagues. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some insights in relation to bioeconomy strategies for developing sustainable healthcare systems. And I wanted to share these insights, speaking from the perspective of our regional centers of excellence for biosafety and biosecurity. To start, maybe I'd like to, for those that do not know our institute, I just wanted to just paint a picture of the institute that I represent. It is the National Institute for Communicable Diseases, which is a division of the National Health Laboratory Service in South Africa. The NICD provides reference laboratory infrastructure in a number of disciplines, provides surveillance and public health research, supporting the South African government in responding to communicable disease threats. We also serve as a resource knowledge for expertise, not just to the government of South Africa or the Southern Africa region, but to the continent at large. And they've been involved in many outbreak responses. And I've just highlighted one during the West Africa Ebola outbreak in 2014-15, where we deployed mobile laboratory capacity in Sierra Leone. The NICD also houses and provides a number of specialized diagnostics and serves as a reference facility in many of our geographical formations, and serving as regional and supranational reference laboratories. I've highlighted one of the Institute's objectives, which is to build and strengthen capacity for communicable diseases response nationally and regionally. And I do so deliberately because that is going to be the focus of my conversation or my talk this afternoon. My esteemed colleagues on the panel have so aptly articulated the many facets of the bioeconomy. And I wanted to touch on one specific key bioeconomic strategy, the one that relates to building human capital. And as you heard from Dr. Itua earlier on, he spoke about the human potential and also articulated in greater detail how the building human capital is a key bioeconomy strategy. And I wanted to speak about how we can leverage on our regional human resource capability building activities in developing sustainable labs. So I will focus really on how the laboratory and having sustainable laboratories can contribute to the bioeconomy ecosystem at large. And really leveraging off of the human resource capacity can be addressed through developing our workforce, particularly focusing in our Africa region in developing context-specific and innovative health solutions. This is quite key. And as well as developing strategies on sustainable laboratories as drivers of health innovation and sustainable development. So these are key elements. I wanted to speak about an initiative now in framing my conversation which is a regional initiative led by the Africa CDC, which was launched in 2019, the Biosafety and Biosecurity Initiative, whose goal really was to strengthen the biosafety and biosecurity systems of African Union member states in meeting many of our obligations, which we are signatories to. Very well known is the international health regulations. Many of our member states, barring a few, are signatories to the Biological Weapons Convention, and we partake in many other instruments of the continent. So it was seen that we have gaps in many of these particular conventions and obligations. And from a regional perspective, it was sought to have a drive at that level to address the gaps. Dr. Chavez spoke earlier on and emphasized the importance of policy agendas driving some of the changes that we want. And this initiative has a published strategic plan. And I wanted to highlight the one priority area, which is the establishment of regional training and certification program for biosafety and biosecurity experts. And specifically, this program sought or seeks to develop local, accessible, sustainable, and regionally recognized and endorsed formal training and certification program of biosafety and biosecurity experts. This program is being implemented across the African continent. The center that I represent here, the NCD, which is the Regional Center of Excellence for Southern Africa, is based here in South Africa. It was launched it was certified by Africa CDC as a Center of Excellence in July of 2022. Then we had the East Africa Center of Excellence certified at the National Public Health Laboratory in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in April of 2023. And then earlier this year, on the 18th of January, we had Institut Pasteur de Dakar in Senegal certified as a Center of Excellence for the West Africa region. And the significance of these centers of excellence is that they are nodes for the delivery of this regional training and certification program that I'm speaking about, which now has brought about the 4 areas of specialization, one which is biorisk management, the maintenance of high containment facilities, the certification of biological safety cabinets, and biological waste management. So these were the 4 priority areas for the Africa region in terms of human resource capacity gaps. And this program seeks to harmonize all the activities that our continent is doing in reducing or bridging those gaps, ensuring that we have individuals who are competent and have demonstrable competencies and skills in addressing these areas. And by way of impact, I just wanted to speak in terms of the Southern Africa Regional Center of Excellence, which has seen in excess of 500 participants that have come from over 35 countries globally, not only to train on this regional training and certification program, but also on other elements that are related. So I speak here of the alignment of activities. There are a number of related training fields that, by virtue of being a center of excellence and related to the obligation of African Union member states, we've been able to align and also deliver at the Regional Center of Excellence. And in so doing, really seeking to impact the capabilities of individuals that are involved in the space of biosafety and biosecurity, and in working towards ensuring that our labs are safer and secure to house the pathogens that we are actually deliberating to date. In terms of some of the capacity building efforts, I've just listed some here in terms of one key element, which is the regulatory and certification framework for facilities handling high-risk pathogens in our continent. This is an important framework because in order to house and handle these pathogens that we have been talking about, it is important that we are actually following a framework that speaks to our local context. The WHO Lab Biosafety Manual 4th edition speaks about a risk-based approach to biosafety. And indeed, this is also postulated in this certification framework that seeks to ensure that the facilities on the African continent are built and fit for purpose to handle the pathogens that we have been discussing. And I wanted to elaborate now in terms of some of the initiatives. I wanted to highlight one particular one. As I spoke in the previous slide, I spoke to the alignment of activities. We have launched in the past year what we call the Action Accelerator Vehicle. So this Action Accelerator Vehicle really seeks to bring together Africa regional subject matter experts who already possess the skills and knowledge within the field, and taking them through a different way of looking at implementation of the solutions. Just before me, Prof. Masharabu spoke about, gave us a number of definitions. One definition was in relation to innovation, and he spoke about it as being a motivation, which is a societal impact that is desired, and it results in the creation of value for a target group. And this is quite apt in terms of the Action Accelerator Vehicle, which we have implemented it as a fellowship program in partnership with a Swiss non-profit organization, the Global Health Security Fund. And we've taken Africa regional subject matter experts and walked them through what we call non-traditional training that you'd typically take biosafety and biosecurity experts. And really, the focus of the program is looking at innovation through working human-centered design thinking, and actually scaling the innovations that we have. The problems that have been well articulated by the speakers before me are well known by the African experts, and the solutions as well reside in us. But I think one of the challenges that we do is we tend to want to meet specific standards and overlook the element of wanting to scale these innovative ideas, innovative solutions, because they actually are profitable in the long run. I mean, we know of the gaps that exist within the Africa region insofar as our lab infrastructure. So by bridging those gaps, there is an economic benefit that can be generated, and hence the need to have this innovation built into the practices that we have. The program seeks to equip our experts with critical analytical thinking, the ability to communicate better, and addressing the emerging and re-emerging challenges that we have within our region. It seeks to strengthen the innovation ecosystems that exist both nationally and regional levels in building our biosafety and biosecurity capacity. So it is a practical way in which, through the centers of excellence, we as a collective are looking to really bring about innovative solutions which do not just only solve problems in our particular areas of influence, but are scalable and can be used in different parts of the African continent. As I alluded to at the beginning of my talk, I spoke about context-specific solutions, and this is one such solution. Then I also wanted to highlight another program, a program that is a culmination of quite a long time of activity within the field, where we have been talking about sustainable laboratories particularly in what is termed to be low middle income countries, and where most of our African Union member states reside. And really, the sustainable labs here, the problem has been quite prolonged. It's well known. And really the issue is that many of our lab challenges, we are trying to build facilities to meet standards and requirements that actually have been designed for predominantly the global north. And when we're looking at sustainable labs, we want them to be sustainable in the African context, in contexts where, for instance, we do not have guaranteed power over the 24 hours of a day, issues related to water, accessibility to the sites for waste treatment, and so forth. And really the factors that impact this are, from an organizational and operational perspective, the accessibility to maintenance and maintenance services, the accessibility to technology, as well as the financial component. One of the things in our laboratory spaces that we tend to do is ignore the financial impact, because largely some of the laboratories that we have, or the laboratory infrastructure, is donor funded, and we tend to not look into the impact of these facilities post the donors leaving our shores. So this was sort of like the problem context, and really the solution now, which is an innovative idea that has been backed by the global partnership and under the auspices of the Signature Initiative to Mitigate Biological Threats in Africa, really is what is termed Bioprevail, right? By the way, you'll notice that on the image there is a Scan Me code. Please feel free to scan that. It will take you to the Bioprevail website. Now, the objective really of Bioprevail is to move away from a one-size-fits-all approach in terms of lab infrastructure, and identifying new innovations that have been implemented in our different member states, specifically in the Africa region, and I'm speaking from the context of our Center of Excellence. We would like to look at innovative ideas and solutions that are implemented in the context of low resource. And the problem of lab sustainability is sought to be addressed in a number of angles. One is to continue to look at the evidence-based in terms of looking at lab sustainability. We heard earlier speakers talking about looking at decision makers to inform them with evidence-based research. So this continue advocacy in that frame. And then also to look at programmatic activities that seek to improve lab sustainability. So this could include, like in the Centers of Excellence, training in equipment maintenance, and other programs that seek to build innovation in terms of actively looking at transformative solutions to key engineering problems within the lab space. So Bioprevail, the Secretariat, currently resides in the World Organization of Animal Health, WOA, as well as the Global Health Security Fund. And this is a call I want to put to all of you to join onto the platform and give your insights from different facets and points of view to the challenge of lab sustainability. I'd like to acknowledge our center, institute, as well as our collaborating partners. Thank you, Dr. Bobadoe, and colleagues. I will stop there. Asante-san.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Masuku. Asante sana to you too. Thank you for that very, very good presentation on building capacity, human capacity, especially in the area of biosecurity and biosafety. And your presentation is very useful, especially for our participants that are working in laboratories into a lot of biosafety and biosecurity activities. One of the biggest challenges we are having in Africa now is preventing deliberate or indeliberate release of dangerous pathogens from our laboratories. And this is one of the major causes of increase in emerging infectious diseases. Therefore, it's very important for us to continue to build capacity in the area of biosecurity and biosafety. And there are so many activities, capacity building activities going on in Africa now, being led by African CDC, the African Initiative, the African, what's it called again? The Center for Excellence in different parts of Africa, in South Africa, in Senegal, I think the one for West Africa is in Senegal, and other parts of Africa, conducting different levels of capacity building. I used to know that Dr. Tokmo used to head that aspect in African CDC. I'm not sure if it's still there. But there are a whole lot of activities that are going on in the area of capacity building and policy development in the area of biosecurity and biosafety. And I'm also happy to say that my organization has been working with WAWO in this direction too. We are actively involved in building or developing the West African biosecurity policies, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and so many other activities we're working with WAWO to conduct in the area of capacity building in biosecurity and biosafety. So thank you very much, my very good friend, for that very educative presentation. And with that, we're moving close to the end of the webinar today. We spent a lot of time, and I think the time we spent is well spent. And I've seen some questions online, but most of the questions I saw has been answered by the participants. And before we go, if it's possible, can we give more participants the opportunity to just say something for 2 to 3 minutes? If you are interested, any of our participants is interested in saying something 1 to 2 minutes, you can just raise your hand and we'll give you the opportunity to contribute to this webinar. If there is none, I want to conclude by thanking our presenters for the very, very educative presentation we've had today. Personally, I've been very enlightened and I've learned so much from your presentations today. I will still have to go through it to digest most of a lot of information that you've provided. Thank you very much, Dr. Itua, Dr. Rocho, Mr. Mazuku, and Prof. Tanten. Sincerely appreciate your presentations, and I'm sure a lot of our participants have learned so much from your presentations today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your time with us. We appreciate that seriously. And to our participants, I used to say you are the reason why we organize this webinar every month. The webinar now today, from the back end, we see that we have over 100 participants from about 20 different countries. And that is very encouraging. And that is the reason why we'll do this every month. Thank you very much for attending this webinar every month. We sincerely appreciate your participation. And I want our participants to know that we are going to share the PDF version of the presentations we've had today, if the presenters will give us the go-ahead to share it. And we also have a certificate that we'll share with our participants, certificate of participation that we'll share with all our participants at the end of every webinar. So be expecting your certificate. We're going to share with you immediately after this presentation. So thank you very much to our presenters and our participants. And by God's grace, by this time next month, we are going to be having another very interesting webinar from GET. Have a blessed rest of the day from Nigeria. And cheers. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Co-presenters, I sent you test. So can you look at it and revert? Prof, you.
Thank you.
Dr. Rufio, I sent chat to you people. Dr.
Okay.
Thank you very much and great work. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much to all of you, Dr. Bobadoye. Thank you very much for the invitation. And Tatiana, I think we have met
Yes,
several
yeah.
times before with Bisea. Yeah.
I know. we
Let's
met
get in
many
touch again. Thank you very
Yes.
much all for your presentations. I will follow up with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Yes.
bye-bye.
Rob, just to let you know, I got my staff to fill for your program for the Bioeconomy conference coming up.
Fantastic.
So let's talk more about that.